In this video, we are going to discuss the prostate gland. So we will discuss the whole prostate gland in as introduction, covering sphincters, blood supply, nerve supply, lymphatics, and the clinical anatomy. So, what is a prostate gland? A prostate gland is a male accessory sexual organ and is a fibromusculoglandular organ, and it's pyramidal in shape, and its dimensions are 4 into 3 into 2. That means 4 centimeter breadth, 3 centimeter length, and 2 centimeter thickness. So here we can see the breadth is more than the length. So there are certain other organs where the breadth is more than the length. They are medulla, cerebellum, pons, and cecum. Their breadth is more than their length. And the prostate gland weighs 10 gram. They weigh around 10 gram, and they are located in the lesser pelvis. So, and it is an example for exocrine gland. So when we are taking the sagittal section of the prostate gland, and while we are viewing from the left side, it will look like this. Here the vas deferens is coming, and to the vas deferens, the seminal vesicle duct is opening. This is the seminal vesicle, this is the vas deferens, and there forms the ejaculatory duct, and they are opening into the prostate gland. So, ejaculatory duct is a structure present within the prostate gland. And here we have a prostatic utricle. Prostatic utricle is nothing, it's a blind sac. Prostatic utricle is just a blind sac. So, this is the urethra. This is the prostatic urethra. Prostatic urethra means the urethra that is passing through the prostate, the part of the urethra that is present within the prostate gland. So, this urethra is not passing through the center of the prostate gland, but it is passing little bit anteriorly. So, the prostatic urethra divides the prostate gland, the whole prostate gland, into anterior 1/3 and posterior 2/3. So, the prostate gland is anatomically divided into 3 lobes and surgically divided into 5 lobes. So, anatomically it is divided into median lobe and 2 lateral lobes, and surgically it is divided into anterior lobe, posterior lobe, a median lobe, and 2 lateral lobes. So, here this is the sagittal section. So, this is the anterior lobe. This is the anterior lobe. This is the posterior lobe. Posterior lobe is present behind the ejaculatory duct and prostatic urethra. So this is the posterior lobe, and this is the median lobe. So the anterior lobe is a fibromuscular part. So there is no glands in the anterior lobe. It is fibromuscular. But while coming to the median lobe, glands are present, and it is very common for benign tumors. Median lobe is very common for benign tumors, that is prostatic hyperplasia. So if the tumor, it causes tumor into the median lobe, the median lobe gets enlarged, and it will cause the obstruction of the prostatic urethra. So you can see this is the prostatic urethra, and if the median lobe is enlarging, it will obstruct the urine passage. So what will happen is that the urine will get retained in the urinary bladder, and the frequency of urination will increase. So the patients will feel increase in the frequency of urination. So that's all about the median lobe. Now the posterior lobe. Posterior lobe is very common for carcinoma. So in case of carcinoma, the posterior lobe will get very rough, hard, and get irregular, and it will also obstruct the prostatic urethra, and that will cause retention of the urine within the urinary bladder and increases the frequency of urination, and it also causes pain in the perineal region, and also in the lower back region the patient will feel pain. So that's all about this one. Now going for the other cross section. This is the urinary bladder. this enlarged part of urethra within the prostate gland. So this is the prostate gland. So urethra is slightly enlarged within the prostate gland. So that part is called colliculus, and this is the west of urethra, urethral west. And here it is to the center. The utricle, the prostatic utricle is opening to the center. Before we study that it is a blind sac, prostatic utricle. So it is opening to the center. And to the side of prostatic utricle, the ejaculatory ducts are opening to the side of the prostatic utricle. Now here we have the opening of prostatic ducts. So the prostatic ducts are opening here. So this is the urinary bladder and the urethra is coming. This is the prostatic urethra. The enlarged part is called the colliculus, and to the center the utricle, prostatic utricle is opening, and to the side of them the ejaculatory ducts are opening, and here the prostatic ducts are opening. So now we will learn the coverings of the prostate gland. So the prostate gland is covered by two capsules, the true capsule and false capsule. The true capsules are formed by the condensation of peripheral part of the prostate gland. So the gland, the peripheral part itself will condense and form the true capsule. And the false capsule is formed by the, or it is derived from the endopelvic fascia. So this is the true capsule. It is formed by the condensation of the peripheral part of gland itself. Now here we have the false capsule. The false capsule. It is formed by the it is derived from the endopelvic fascia. So, and we have venous plexus in between the true capsule and false capsule. These are the venous plexus. So this is the true capsule, and here we have the one marked in the green. It is false capsule, and between we have venous plexus. So in case of thyroid gland, the venous plexus are present between the true capsule and the gland. But in case of prostate, it is present between true capsule and false capsule. So, while coming to the external features of the prostate gland, the prostate gland is having apex, which is directed downward, base, which is near to the urinary bladder, and anterior surface, posterior surface, and inferior lateral surface. So here, while coming to the base is situated at the neck of the urinary bladder, and while coming to the apex, it is resting on the urogenital diaphragm. This is urogenital diaphragm. This is urogenital diaphragm. So this is urogenital diaphragm, and the apex is directed downward, and it is resting on the superior surface of urogenital diaphragm. So resting on the urogenital diaphragm. So this is the apex, which is directed downward, and it is resting on the superior surface of the urogenital diaphragm. And this is the base, which is at the neck of the urinary bladder. And here this is the inferolateral surface, which is related to the levator ani muscles. Here we have levator ani muscles, and this is the inferolateral surface, and it is related to inferolateral surface. So now the prostate gland is having anterior surface and posterior surface and inferior lateral surface. So inferior lateral surface is related to the levator ani muscle. Now this is the side view in the sagittal section. So this is the prostatic urethra, and this is the prostate gland. is the anterior surface, this is the posterior surface, this is the rectum, and here we have pubic symphysis. And the anterior surface is narrow and convex, and it is related to the pubic symphysis, and in between they are filled with they are separated by a retropubic space or space of Retzius. Space of Retzius. And space of Retzius, they are filled with a extraperitoneal fats. They are filled with extraperitoneal fats. So this is the anterior surface, which is narrow and convex, and they are 2 cm behind the pubic symphysis, and between they are separated by a retropubic space or space of Retzius, and they are filled with extraperitoneal fat. And this is the posterior surface. The posterior surface is broad and flat, and they are related to the ampulla of rectum. And here we have the Now we will see the sagittal section of the male pelvis. So this is the urinary bladder, and here we have prostate, and this is pubic symphysis, and this is the anterior surface. It is narrow and convex, and it is related to pubic symphysis. That is, it is 2 cm behind the pubic symphysis, and they are separated by a the retropubic space, and they are filled with extraperitoneal fat. So here we have extraperitoneal fat. So this space is otherwise called space of Retzius. So now this is the posterior surface. The posterior surface is broad and flat, and they are related to the ampulla of rectum. So this is the rectum, and this is the ampulla of rectum. And this is the retrovesical pouch. The retrovesical pouch, from the Denon-Williams fascia. A Denon-Williams fascia is coming and is attaching to the perineal body. So posteriorly, the prostate gland is related to the Denon-Williams fascia, and this is the retrovesical pouch. And from the Denon-Williams fascia is attaching to the perineal body. So posteriorly it is related to that. So next, we will see the posterior surface of the prostate gland. So this is the posterior surface of the prostate gland, and posteriorly they are having a transverse sulcus and a median posterior sulcus or a vertical sulcus. And to this transverse sulcus, the ducts of ejaculatory ducts are opening. Ejaculatory ducts are opening in this transverse sulcus. So this is the transverse sulcus, and this is the vertical sulcus, and this is the median lobe, and these are 2 lateral lobes. So that's all about the posterior surface. Now we will see this is the cross section. So the prostate gland is having outer zone and inner zone. So outermost, so this is the prostatic urethra. So these are the glands of outer zone, large branching glands of outer zone. They are the main glands of prostate gland. They are the main glands, and they are situated in the outermost zone. And they are having submucosal glands in the inner zone. So submucosal glands are present in the inner zone, and then they have mucosal glands. They are also present in the inner zone. So these are the large branching glands that are present in the outer zone. So these are the submucosal glands in the inner zone, and these are the mucosal glands. They are also present in the inner zone. So that's all about the glands of the prostate gland. So now the blood supply. So the prostate gland is supplied by inferior vesical arteries, middle rectal arteries, and internal pudendal arteries, and the venous drainage. So before we studied about the venous plexus, they are present between the true capsules and false capsules. So the venous drainage first occurs to the in between the true capsule and false capsule. So these venous plexus will drain the blood to this space, and finally they all are drained into the vesical veins. And coming to the lymphatic drainage, they are drained by sacral lymph nodes, external iliac lymph nodes, and internal iliac lymph nodes. And coming to the nerve supply, they are both parasympathetic and sympathetic. The parasympathetic is done by pelvic splanchnic nerve, and sympathetic is done by the L1 and L2. So that's all about the nerve supply. Now coming to the clinical aspects and all. So before we said that the median lobe is very common for benign tumors or benign hyperplasia. So in case of benign tumors, the median lobe will get enlarged and they will cause the obstruction of the prostatic urethra. And if prostatic urethra get obstructed, the urine will get retained within the urinary bladder, and that will lead to increase in the frequency of urination. So the median lobe is very common for the benign tumors. Now coming to the posterior lobe, they are very common for carcinoma. So the posterior lobe, if it gets carcinogenic, then it will get rough and very hard and irregular. So it can be diagnosed by the rectal examination. That means the doctors will insert their fingers through the rectum and they will feel the posterior part of the prostate gland, and it will be rough and irregular. So we can come to the result of the carcinoma of the prostate gland. So in such case, it will also obstruct the urine within the urinary bladder. That is, the urine will get retained within the urinary bladder, and the frequency will increase. The urination frequency will increase, and it will also cause pain in the perineal region. That means the low back pain. The patient will feel a low back pain and also the pain in the perineal region. Now, and also there is communication between valvulus communication present in between the venous plexus of prostate gland and the vertebral plexus. So between the prostatic plexus and vertebral plexus there are valvulus communication. So there is a chance of passing of the thrombus and infection to the vertebral plexus, and it will spread throughout. So that's all about the clinical aspects.